Good morning, everybody. Good morning. And welcome to Channing Unitarian Universalist Church. We're glad you joined us for worship today. Whoever you are, whatever your theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation or gender identity, you are welcome to worship here and become a part of this community. Are there any announcements this morning? Julie.
It's a short list. First of all, I wanted to thank the folks that came out yesterday for our showing of disclosure and the discussion that we had after. I think that was a really nice opportunity to learn a little bit more about the challenges transgender people face. And for those of you that weren't here who know what I'm talking about, Gretchen came and I actually got to meet her in person, so that was really nice. Gretchen was a minister here years back, and I've always heard wonderful things about her, and it's great that she actually came. Next is the emergency shelter is all set for clothes and jackets, so I wanted to express my gratitude for folks that helped donate things for them. They're all set there. But now they have a new request. They have a bunch of newborns, so they need size 1 diapers and baby formula. So if you can donate things like that and drop them in the lobby, I will bring those up the next time I make a delivery. After service today during coffee hour, we have a credential meeting. I don't believe we have a long agenda, so I'm hoping to keep it short, but you know how these things often go. Thursday, January 25th is craft night, but really it will be setting up for the dinner. That's gonna be the craft. So if anybody is willing and able to come help, we're just gonna set up tables and chairs and things like that. You guys can come in. And then on Friday, January 26th at 5:30 p.m., we're doing a free dinner and meet and greet. So anybody who wants to come and help, let me know. If you just want to come and eat, that's fine too. Just let me know, because I'm keeping a running tally so I know how much food I need to prepare. And I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Are there any other announcements? Erin?
The chocolate auction is coming up on February 11th. So start thinking about some recipes for chocolate if you have any in mind with take donations. And start saving your pennies so you can bid and win some big stuff.
Any other announcements? Right. May the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of our world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. And now, if you'd like to turn and greet your neighbor and say hello with a wave or handshake, occasionally a hug.
Good morning.
And please stand as you are willing and able as I light our chalice and join in reading the word in your order of service. Kindling this flame of our liberal heritage in our chalice of unity, let us open to the presence of the sacred. In our affirmation, love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. And well, now our opening hymn is number 1. It's May Nothing Evil Cross This Door.
May nothing evil cross this door, and may your fortune never run about these windows. May the Lord and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart will keep you warm. We shall softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every careful corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and all these shouts they be strong to keep it out in whole loving.
I think that's a lot faster than we normally do. So please be seated. So in lieu of a reading, I'm going to play 2 clips from a TV show called Schitt's Creek. And I'll talk about this a little bit in my sermon, but when the creator, Dan Levy, wanted to make Schitt's Creek, he decided that there would be no homophobia in Schitt's Creek. So you don't get a lot of what you at least used to often see in TV shows where there was a gay character, is like half of it was about the things that they had to deal with as being gay. So I'm going to show 2 clips. One is the day after 2 characters have hooked up and just sort of talking about some sexual orientation type ideas.
So, just to be clear, I'm a red wine drinker. Okay, cool. I only drink red wine. Okay. And up until last night, I was under the impression that you too only drank red wine. But I guess I was wrong.
I see where you're going with this. I do drink red wine, but I also drink white wine. And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot. It used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated.
Okay, yeah, so you're just really open to all wines.
I like the wine and not the label. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. This is just very new to me.
So the second clip is from later in the series, and the same male main character, his boyfriend's parents are in town and have been surprised to find out that their son is dating David. And he goes to
Hi, this is Brewer, Mr. Brewer. I'm David Rose.
David, come in.
I brought you some things from the store as a welcome present. We ran out of the body milk, so I threw in some extra lip balms.
Thank you, David.
I just wanted to come here and apologize for a very unfortunate miscommunication.
So you're not in a relationship with our son?
No, I very much am. I was talking more about how you found out.
Is it something we did, David?
Sorry?
Honey, stop.
I want to ask. Do you think if we'd done things differently, that Patrick would still...
I understand that this news can come as a shock to some people, but he is still the same person, and it's his birthday. And
David, we're not upset about Patrick being gay.
Oh my God. For a minute, I thought this was going to get very dark.
I thought that Patrick was feeling like he couldn't come and talk to us about this.
Is that because we were so close with Rachel?
Hi.
I'm going to stop it there. We don't need to continue, but this just is showing the idea that, you know, they skipped over the, oh my gosh, our son is gay part more to the, well, but why didn't he tell us that he was dating? So I'll talk more about this in my sermon later. But at the moment, we're going to have the time in our service where we can share joys and concerns that we're holding and would like to share with the congregation.
I'd like to share a joy for our event yesterday. It was nice to see a lot of people come out to learn more about media representations of transgender people, and to all of us kind of facing some of the imagery that we grew up with and didn't necessarily realize the impact. So it's the joy to see all of us come together to do
Sorry, I have seen Disclosure and it was so good that I watched it back to back. Started there right from the beginning and the ended. So I'm so happy that you guys did that. And I enjoyed that it started out as a concern. I got fired from the job that I hate on Friday, so it really gave me a lesson.
I have a concern to share. One of my dad's uncles passed away recently. He's out in the Pacific Northwest, far away from basically the rest of the family. So his wife and kids are out there. So mourning stuff for my family.
Candle of concern for my mother, Barbara, has entered hospice care. About a week and a half ago.
A candle of joy for Chicago.
A candle for our friend and hairdresser Kathy, who's not doing well.
A candle of joy for the high school students of Pembroke High School who organized a really quick protest and gathered their thoughts and presented them eloquently and helped prevent their school committee from making a really bad policy choice about free speech and allowing students and teachers to represent who they are and who they love.
Yeah, a candle of joy that my sister had surgery on Thursday and she's doing well.
Another kind of concern or prayer for anybody that's suffering. Also, we're getting a chance to vote as like Massachusetts on changing the big book of AA, which is like their Bible, so it's like unheard of. So it's huge because we might have a chance to add more like trans and non-binary and things like that to it.
Candle for former minister we got, and also mentioned that patient Scott, she was here in 1992, after March year passed away. She just recently passed away at the beginning of the month.
On a very light note, at our daughter's shelter, a woman came in with a mother little Boston Terrier and puppies, and she could not care for them anymore, so she was surrendering them. And the candle is for all the little guys out there that think big, because the papa was a Siberian Husky.
Kind of piggybacking on the joy of little puppies. My cousin got a new puppy, so it's joy and a little bit concerned. He's a little wild.
I will light on that candle for all those joys and concerns held deeply in our hearts. Let's enter into a spirit of prayer and meditation. Loving Spirit, we pause in the stillness to rest for a moment, to quiet ourselves so that we can feel what stirs within us. Each breath draws us closer to the pulse of life, and with each exhalation, we make room for something new. May we find in this gathering the comfort of those who care. May we encounter patience along our growing edges and compassion in our most tender spots. Here may we find the inspiration and encouragement we need to face our challenges and nurture ourselves. And in the presence of suffering across the globe, may we redouble our efforts to practice kindness where we are, with the hope that the light of our actions travels like the light of faraway stars. May our gestures of compassion and generosity seed possibility. May we walk humbly with one another, choosing reconciliation over resentment as we try to live right-sized. When life presses in and shifts us off balance, when pain assails us, when frustration mounts, may the rhythm of our breath steady us and bring us back to a place of gratitude.
On the surface of compassion, blowing the wind, rise in the sea, in the night, giving life, shade of justice. Roots of me flows, breathe, set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
So we come to church to nurture our souls and our spirits, and this church does need physical funds to continue. So now is the point where we'll collect our morning offering. Please stand as you're willing and able. And we'll sing Spirit of the Truth a cappella. Spirit of truth, of life, of power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. Oh, bind our hearts the sacred hour, in faith and hope and charity. Amen. So back when Channing was working on getting its welcoming congregation status the last time around, I and a couple other LGBTQ plus members of the congregation each shared our stories of our discovery that we were part of the community during a series of services. I believe I did mine in 2008. We achieved our welcoming congregation status 3 years later in 2011. And yesterday, Danny shared that Channing had actually started the process in 1998. So it took a little while to get it. And now that we're working on recertifying our welcoming status, as I prepared for the service, I reread my story from that day. And I was struck by a couple of things. One, I included a lot of facts in there that I don't remember anymore, so I'm glad that I wrote it down somewhere. Two, it was still a time before same-sex marriage was federally recognized. And so it was state by state at that point, whether my marriage was recognized or not. And I forget when it was that it was federally recognized, but we used to have to file our taxes separate, but we had to do a dummy joint one to know what our state one would be. And in most cases, we actually came out ahead because I, or whoever it made sense to, one of us got to be like a single head of household with 2 kids in a house. So, yeah. But it's okay, I'll take the federal recognition over the extra big month. I actually used to carry a copy of our marriage certificate around with us when we traveled together, just in case of an accident. And third, most queer characters on TV or in movies were either a friend, or if they were a main character, the whole plot of the show was about them coming out or the difficulties they faced because of their sexual orientation. In addition, there were a lot of stereotypical representations without taking the full spectrum of the community into account. Representation of trans people was even worse and also not accurate or based on stereotypes. And if you haven't seen or didn't watch Disclosure yesterday, you should definitely watch it. It's available on Netflix. I must preface everything else I say as being from a cis, like gay, lesbian, bisexual perspective, as I cannot speak for the TIA plus part of the LGBTQIA. Over time, we have seen representation in media change, as well as more high-profile celebrities coming out publicly. Many still choose to keep their identities to themselves, and that's their choice, and they are totally welcome to do that. They have various reasons for doing so, and that is their, like I said, that's their choice. More are opening up, and that is a good thing, and that does help. So a little bit about back in my day. When I was in college, I used to scour the tabloids and read The Advocate, which is an LGBTQ magazine. I don't know if it still exists, but cover to cover, in hopes that I'd see a higher profile celebrity or one of my crushes and see that they weren't straight. Over time, some of those actresses I hoped to see did turn out to be gay. Clea Duvall and Sarah Gilbert, for example. In 2009, my brother started as an editor and director on a USA TV show called White Collar, starring Matt Bomer, whom you may know from Magic Mike or American Horror Story or Fellow Traveler. You may also know that he's an out gay man, but he was not in 2009. And I think it was in 2011, my brother made an offhand comment about Matt and his husband. And that's when I learned that it was very true that in Hollywood, things would be known, but press would not pick up and report on it until the actor made it public, which he did in 2014. Similarly, my wife is friends with a singer and an actress who is publicly out, but until very recently, well, she is dating an actress who until very recently was not. And back in the late 1990s, my wife attended a party at Jodie Foster's house, and she had to sign an NDA and still won't tell me some of the people that were there because they are not out and are keeping their private lives private. So this is just a taste of the way things are or have been. And let me share a little bit about my story before we come back to the present. And this might sound familiar to the people who heard me do portions of this in 2000. When I was little, I played with dolls, and I loved them. I liked dolls and doll houses and wearing skirts and dresses and coloring and watching She-Ra cartoons. Sometimes I played with my brother's action figures, but usually it was to have them interact with my Barbies. I collected Madame Alexander dolls, and I had 2 American Girl dolls. My mom still has some of them in her basement. I didn't really like sports. Gymnastics was fun because you don't have to run. I played soccer, but I was the goalie because I could just stay in one place and didn't have to get sweaty. In other words, I was not a tomboy. I was a typical pink-loving, it was my favorite color for a while, girly girl. I was also a big bookworm. I read all the time. I read on the bus to school. I read as I walked to school when I didn't take the bus. I read between classes. Sometimes I read during classes. I tried to read at the dinner table, but that didn't always get a good reaction. When I was in 5th or 6th grade, I think, I read a book called Annie on My Mind. Annie on My Mind is a 1982 novel by Nancy Gardner about the romantic relationship between 2 17-year-old New York City girls, Annie and Liza. The book is number 48 on the 100 most frequently challenged books during the time period of 1990 to 2000, and it was actually burned in Kansas City at one point. I didn't really think anything about the fact that the book was about 2 girls falling in love, except that it was a book about 2 girls who fell in love. I grew up assuming I'd find a boyfriend and then get married and have kids. I always wanted to have a family. I knew gay people existed because, sorry, I lost my place. I knew gay people existed, though it is something I really only learned because my dad's best friend since college is gay. It was always Uncle Cam and Uncle Hal. When I was 5 or 6, I asked Cam why he wasn't married, and he said he never found a woman that he loved. And at some point, I made the connection and asked my parents if Cam and Hal were gay. Spoiler alert, they were. And it didn't really matter to me. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. One time when I was in elementary school, we went to visit my dad's female cousin, Cam, who lived with her female roommate. I didn't think of anything of it at the time. At some point later on, I figured that one out too and asked my dad if Cam was a lesbian. The answer was yes, but I only saw her that one time, so that was my only interaction with a real lesbian until I went to college. I did get to see some of the difficulties that Cam and Hal had to deal with. This was in the late 80s, early 90s, due to their sexual orientation. Hal was the president of a computer company that his family had started, and Cam was the vice president. Very, very few people in the company knew that they were a couple and lived together. Cam even had some of his company-related mail, health insurance, and that type of thing, mailed to our house. And at some point when I was in high school, I had a what if Doug, my brother, or I were gay conversation with my parents in relation to talking about Cam and Hal. The answer was that of course they would love us, but they would be worried that we would have difficulties with life and with other people's reactions. But I wasn't gay, I liked boys. I had crushes on boys and lots of boyfriends. From my first boyfriend during the summer after freshman year through the middle of junior year, I had 9 different boyfriends. In the middle of all these boyfriends, I occasionally had worries that I was gay. I had a dream about one of my best female friends once. That was kind of scary. I didn't want to be gay. I wanted to get married and have lots of kids. And it was a fact that gay people didn't have kids. So I didn't think about it. At a sleepover once during sophomore year of high school, while playing Truth or Dare or something like that, one of my friends asked me if I was a lesbian. My other friends responded incredulously with, have you seen her with insert boyfriend name here in the hallways? But later I found out that a few of them always suspected that I was gay. When I asked why, they said it was because I hugged them a lot. Apparently hugging people makes you gay, so be careful during coffee hour. Of course I said I wasn't. I mean, I had pictures of young actors pasted up all over my bedroom walls. I was also a cheerleader, and everybody knows that cheerleaders aren't lesbians. Those of you who have seen the movie But I'm a Cheerleader might understand why that movie was extra funny to me and my friends when it was released when I was in college. The basic plot of the movie, which is definitely a comedy, is that the main character, a cheerleader, has an intervention from her friends and family and boyfriend because they think she's gay. And in part, it's because she hugs her friends too much. She is sent to a facility that promises to turn her back straight, and it's very funny and meant to be a spoof of the ex-gay movement. A big part of the movie is the main character's own realization that she really is gay. As you may have gathered from what I've been sharing, there weren't any peer role models for me to look to, nor was there any much representation in the media. In my Midwestern high school of 2,000 students, I knew of one bisexual girl in my class, but that was a rumor, so who really knows? In the class below me, there was one gay guy and one in the class above me. That's all that we knew of. Of course, when we came back from that freshman year of college, things were different. That summer, there was a lot of so-and-so is gay, and so came back with her girlfriend, etc. So how did I finally figure things out? Well, I went to Vassar College. Vassar is a small liberal arts college in upstate New York that used to be an all-women's school. It's been co-ed since 1969. Vassar is fairly liberal. After I decided to go there, some of my friends quickly let me know that everyone at Vassar is gay. I didn't know that when I applied, but I didn't care about that. Once I got there, I quickly found out that it's not so much that everyone is gay, which obviously they are not, but more that sexual orientation is an afterthought. One of the joke emails getting sent around by all my high school friends my first year, back in the day when you used to send emails to all your friends. The joke was, how many insert college in here students does it take to screw in a light bulb? The Vassar one, how many Vassar students does it take to screw a light bulb? The answer, 11. 1 to screw the light bulb and 10 to support his or her sexual orientation. This is when I was really exposed to bisexuality as a concept that applied to actual people. It was like a huge light bulb went off in my head and everything started to make sense. All those TV shows I used to like that had cute girls in them, I realized that I had crushes on them. The dreams that I had about female friends were no longer so scary, and I was able to reconcile that with the feelings that I had for boys as well. It did take me all of freshman year to actually start coming out to people. None of my friends cared. I was slightly more concerned about telling my parents, but I knew my mom wouldn't care. I was more worried about my dad. To my huge surprise, it was actually the reverse reaction that I got. My mom was not cool at all. She kept reminding me how wonderful Jim was, my high school boyfriend. My dad didn't care. My mom kept saying that she knew it was just a phase I was going through. My mom wasn't exactly thrilled at first, but she loved me and always was clear that she still loved me. My dad really didn't care. He still loved me. I think he really liked hearing about my life, no matter whether I was dating men or women. I think he liked his role of playing the good guy to my mom's bad guy. At the dinner table with the whole family, he would tease my brother about watching out that I didn't steal his girlfriends. Which I never have. As it turned out, none of my mom's or dad's concerns about being gay causing me problems really came to fruition. Of course, living in Massachusetts has had a huge effect on that. If I lived in other parts of the country, I might not be so lucky. For a while, I was hesitant to talk about my wife with certain people I didn't know and would just use spouse. I still sometimes do. Something straight cis people don't think about is the fact that folks in the LGBTQ plus community don't just come out once, if they choose to do so at all. Every time I meet a new parent of my kids and talk about their other mom, I'm coming out. I do feel comfortable doing so at work and in my community. I feel very lucky that I can say I haven't experienced any major discrimination from people, and I know that's not the case that everyone goes through. Things are very different today for queer kids, even as there are definitely still some challenges and some backward movement that the community faces. The amount of representation and awareness about sexual orientation and gender identity that exists sometimes blows my mind a little bit. I used to say that all I wanted was for a TV show or a movie to exist where there were gay characters and nothing was made about the fact that they were gay. It was just a fact. Suddenly, it seems you can't turn around without seeing a commercial with same-gender couples, or a trans kid as a babysitting charge in the Babysitter Club reboot, or the TV show Schitt's Creek, which, as I mentioned, creator Dan Levy decided would just have no homophobia at all. For his 10th birthday in 2022, my son Jack wanted to have a movie party. So we looked at what movies were coming out around his birthday and found a Disney digitally animated movie called Strange World, rated PG, about adventuring in a newly discovered area in order to save a dying source of energy for their world. As I'm sitting there in the movie theater watching the movie with 13, 9, and 10-year-olds running crazy around me because we had rented out the whole theater, they're watching it a little bit and then playing hide and seek in the aisles, I realized that the main kid character is talking about his crush, who is a boy, and that it wasn't a plot point of the movie that the crush was of the same gender. It was just a fact. He told his grandfather. Grandfather said, "Great, tell me about him." Not a big deal made of it at all. About 5 months later, Jack told us he is gay. It was hopefully one of the more boring, uneventful coming out stories, since Jen and I basically said, "Okay, we love you." Not even, "we still love you," just, "we love you." Jen and I joked that Strange World made him gay, which obviously is not true, but it did influence his ability to recognize that he is gay at a fairly young age. I may sound like a broken record, but the representation we see in all areas is so open compared to the way it was not that long ago, 15 years ago when we were doing our welcoming congregation the first time around. There's a song by an up-and-coming pop punk artist named TX2 called Loaded Gun that has the line, "And I had sex with every gender that's under the sun. They say there's only one, but I counted 21. And just a warning, if you go listen to TX2, the lyrics are all very explicit, and I even edited some of what I just read right there. So don't go reading or listening and then be like, "Oh my God, Laura." Katy Perry's "I Kissed a Girl" was fairly controversial in some crowds when it came out in 2008. I actually don't really like that song because it implies that her kissing a girl is done under the influence of alcohol and has lines like, "You're my experimental game," and "I kissed a girl just to try it, hope my boyfriend don't mind it." You're probably familiar with the song. You may or may not have heard the actual first "I Kissed a Girl" song, which, to be clear, is a completely different song. Katy Perry did not cover it. Jill Sobule released hers in 1995, and if CDs could get worn out, that one would have been my copy of it. It still has an undertone of experimentation, but not in a Girls Gone Wild sort of way, more in a falling for my best friend way. And fun fact that my wife shared with me last night, the actress that her other friend is dating, who is now out, actually dated Jill Sobule for 10 years earlier on, so the lesbian world is small. But I think I'm digressing a bit here. I'm actually going to now play you a more modern song that ditches the experimentation vibes. It's called "Boyfriend" by Dove.
I can't believe I'm finally alone. I can't believe I almost went home. Got all the chances, everyone's dancing, at least not with you. The universe must have defined this. What am I gonna do? I'll grab your hand. So the situation. Twice, all the ways you can't suffice. If I could give you some advice, I would leave right tonight. Universe must have to find it. Ladies first, baby, I am obsessed. So the situation I'm forgetting. Up all night, I won't quit. You know I'm still inside. Pieces to tell. Place all my clothes on still. Here alone, go to your phone. Never would have left you alone for someone else to take you home. I could be a better girlfriend than him. I could do from him like a beast at the temple. Plus, you know my clothes are fair. For the shit that he never cared.
So there's no, I mean, yes, she's interested in someone who has a boyfriend, but there's no experimentation from the point of view of the singer. There's no hint that anything is wrong with her feelings. It's essentially a love song, plus all her clothes with it. Just like with TV shows no longer having the fact that a character is LGBTQ be the plot. This song is just a song about the singer, and the object of the singer's affection just happens to be of the same gender. These days, companies make an effort to show representation of different identities in commercials. Kids' television shows like Mighty Ducks Game Changers, for example, has characters with gay parents. Performers are coming out as gay or bisexual or non-binary. We have mainstream trans celebrities, and none of this is going away. Some celebrities still want to maintain their privacy and aren't openly out, that's fine, but the number that are continues to grow. So how is this representation important, especially in the face of some of the laws that seem to be going backwards? Disclosure actually spoke about this a lot, so again, I recommend that you watch that. That was talking specifically about trans identities. So from my point of view, the media isn't going to go away. The people passing the laws are not the ones creating the representation in commercials and TV shows. And it's easily accessible. It's not like when I was in grad school trying to find out where in the world I could find a recording of a 2002 British miniseries called Tipping the Velvet about lesbians in Victorian England that someone had to send me VHS copies of that they had recorded. Now you can find, I mean, those clips were on Amazon Prime. I could also have found them on Hulu. I was trying to decide which one would have fewer commercials to show for you. Increasing representation helps because these identities are no longer on the edges and something that people can pretend don't exist or that they aren't common. In addition, the depictions are now much more mundane and real life than the stereotypical over-the-top depictions of the past. Though my and my family's experiences in Massachusetts are different than they would be if we lived in Mississippi, the media depictions are still available in Mississippi. And we've all been kids and teenagers. Parents or other adults telling us we can't watch something doesn't make it, this makes it almost more enticing. So when you read the article about a law someone is trying to pass that seems to be a step backward, just remember that the representation isn't going to disappear. The kids will see it. The adults who may have kids who are coming out to them will see it. Love is love, slow and steady wins the race, and patience is a virtue. Blessed be. Our closing hymn is number 170. We are a gentle, angry people. And I specifically want us to sing verses 1, 5, and 6, and you sing each verse through twice. The recording I found, they sing 1, 4, and 6. So we're just going to ignore them, and they'll sing verse 4, and we'll sing verse 5, and it'll be fine.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are peaceful, loving people. We are peaceful, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are peaceful, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
The recording goes on and she talks so much. Please stand as you are willing and join me in the words found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together. Please be seated. For the postlude, I'm playing Jill Sobuel's version of I Kiss the Girl, or the original for I
She came over and told me my place. Such a hairy behemoth, she said. Dumb as a box of hammers, but he's such a handsome guy. And I opened up and I told her about Larry. And yesterday, how he asked me to marry. And I'm not giving him an answer yet. I think he did the best. So we laughed, compared notes. We had a drink, we had a smoke. She took off her overcoat. I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl. She called home to say she'd be late. Said he worried, but now I feel safe. I'm glad you're with your girlfriend. Tell her hi for me. Then I looked at you, yeah, guilt in your eyes, but it only lasted a little while. Then I felt your hand above my knee. And we laughed at the world. They can have their diamonds and we'll have our gold. I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl. Kissed a girl, her lips were sweet. She was just like kissing me. Kissed a girl won't change the world, but I'm so glad I kissed a girl. And the world, they can have their diamonds and we'll have our food. I kissed a girl for the first time. I kissed a girl, yeah, I make you live. I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl. Kissed a girl, her lips were sweet. She was just like kissing me, but then I kissed a girl. Kissed a girl, won't change the world, but I'm so glad I kissed a girl. For the first time, I kissed a girl. Kissed a girl.
Go have coffee.